I'm a studio resident. I have a tiny CIC called Lost Robot, and we build moving interactive robotics and art pieces. So the reason I'm leading the session is because I've done a lot of Arts Council applications in the past. I've done loads for myself, not all successful, but most of them successful. And I also, because my job involves lots of manual labour and metalworking, when I get pregnant, which has been twice now, I've had to segue into writing bids for other people. So it's kind of become a bit of an ongoing side hustle for me. This year I've done quite a lot of it just because there's been loads of artists who've really needed help getting through the system, so I spent quite a lot of time just putting together resources and like looking at the website and like helping people basically open those doors, because I think the thing about the Arts Council is it should be really simple to apply, but the doors sometimes seem really hard to open, and it feels like a set of hurdles to be jumped. And actually the best thing you can do when it comes to writing an Arts Council application is to stop seeing it as that and start seeing it as a really good way of planning a project. And when you kind of change your headset, it's a lot less stressful. So I guess the first thing to think about is what kind of funding you want to get. So there's two main funds that are available at the moment. There's Developing Your Own Creative Practice, which is up to 10K. It's for individuals. You need to have been working professionally for at least a year. So you need to have proof that you've been working outside of the university one way or another. But that can be like 2 or 3 gigs. It doesn't have to be like, this is my sole income. But the big thing about that is it's there for people who want to radically change their practice one way or another. So it's either like presenting an opportunity or a window for you to actually get your work out there properly, and to showcase yourself. It can be for like learning and training, but it has to be really specific things, and it's really worth going through the guidance for that. It can be to get the funds to actually put together a larger scale project so you can actually showcase your work. And it can also be to like learn new skills. So a lot of the people I'm seeing getting money for that are kind of like, they're like, for example, Tom, who I work with, he's just got it, and he got it because he's been building large metal sculptures for years and he's completely knackered his back. So now he can't build big things anymore. And he's managed to get it to move into doing light sculptures and sound sculpture. So they funded that. So they'll fund time and research and your time, and that's really important to them. So that's developing your own creative practice. And the great thing about it is it's completely about your own work and your own research and yourself as an artist. So you don't have to put stuff out there. So the second fund, which has been running for years and years and years, is called Project Grants. And you can go for under 15 grand, or you can go for over 15 grand if you're feeling really brave and don't mind waiting 3 months to find back. The under 15 grand pot, 50% of it at the moment is supposed to go directly to individual artists working on projects. Normally they're really strict with 2 elements of project grants, which is different to the developing your own creative practice. And those 2 bits, they normally absolutely insist on match funding, and also absolutely insist on you being able to get the work out there one way or another. But at the moment, temporarily, they've lifted the ban on those. So you can go in there purely asking for money just from the Arts Council, whereas normally you need to get at least 20% from somewhere else. They're also funding more R&D work at the moment, because obviously none of us can get work out there because we're all in lockdown, and they understand and respect that, and they kind of just want to support artists. Okay, so what is a project grant? So they want to fund R&Ing, so research and development, thinking time, rehearsal time, buying tech time. You can get new things as long as they're new. You can't buy secondhand kit, and getting work out there. So they'll fund touring work, they'll fund light trails, they'll fund building a piece of work and working with a whole group of other people and just doing a preview. Like, you don't have to have a finished thing at the end of the funding, especially if you're going through under 15K. But they want to see that in some way or another there's engagement there, that you're building something which is like for the community as well as for yourself. So there's the really important thing when looking at project grant is not just to think about what you want to get out of it, but to think about where it's going and for who. So in the chat, I've put a drawing, and it's a nautilus shell. I know that sounds a bit weird, but like for me, when I'm thinking about this funding, it's really good to think about it creatively and like tackle the really important like central nuggets of the funding bid, which is basically the who, the how, and the why, and the what.